Let's go. We're going to play the Stephen Miller
It's worth
collection.
looking at again. It's
frightening.
Riveting in a really frightening way.
I ask my Republican brothers and sisters to look at this very closely and begin to understand how dangerous this is.
And also understand the White House is behind this, 100%.
Do you feel like you and your staff there that you're in control of events at the White House?
I think to say that we're in control would be a substantial understatement. We have equal branches of government in this country. The judiciary is not supreme. There's no such thing as judicial supremacy. What the judges did, both at the 9th and at the district level, was to take power for themselves that belonged squarely in the hands of the President of the United States.
Stephen, the three judges say you're flat wrong.
No, the three judges made a broad, overreaching statement. This is an ideological disagreement between those who believe we should have borders and should have controls, and those who believe there should be no borders and no controls. This is a judicial usurpation of power. The end result of this, though, is that our opponents, the media, and the whole world will soon see, as we begin to take further actions, that the powers of the president to protect our country are very substantial and will not be questioned. And the bottom line is the president's powers in this area represent the apex of executive authority. We will have unquestioned military strength beyond anything anybody can imagine. We have a president who has done more in 3 weeks than most presidents have done in an entire administration. Saying that we stand with our ally, having the two men appear on camera worldwide to all of planet Earth, was a statement that will be understood very well by North Korea. I'm not going to make a comment on that. I don't have any information on it. I do want to say that Sean Spicer, as always, is 100% correct, and that what he said is true and important, and I agree with it.
So then you are making a comment on it?
I'm not going to make any new comment. It is a fact, and you will not deny it, that there are massive numbers of non-citizens in this country who are registered to vote. That is a scandal. We should stop the presses. That's the story we should be talking about, and I'm prepared to go on any show, anywhere, anytime, and repeat it and say the President of the United States is correct 100%.
This guy's holy. It is a fact, and you will not deny it. And the power of the president, the powers of the president are very substantial and will not be questioned. And will not be questioned. Our opponents, the media, the whole world will soon see, as we begin to take further actions, that the power of the president to protect our country are very substantial and will not be questioned. That sounds like a spokesman for Vladimir Putin. Sounds like a spokesman out of Turkey.
Circa 19.
There is. So, by the way, so Stephen Miller, let's take you to class for a second here, because I know you didn't go to law school. I don't know what type of school you went to, but they certainly didn't teach you civics. Certainly didn't teach you the United States Constitution, certainly didn't teach you separation of powers, certainly didn't teach you the Federalist Papers, but you walk into that office, so that guy on the wall that you see a lot of pictures of, and his name's Andrew Jackson, 7th President of the United States. Your president is a big fan of Andrew Jackson, so you can obviously read, because I saw you reading cue cards or something while you were talking there.
Yeah,
I'm not sure, or maybe you were just nervous and your eyes were darting.
Somebody was holding a sign with
But this is Andrew Jackson, your president's hero. All the rights secured to the citizens under the Constitution are worth nothing and a mere bubble except guaranteed to them by an independent judiciary. Andrew Jackson, July 5th, 1822. You come out and say the president will not be questioned? You're unworthy to be in the White House. You're unworthy to be in government if that's what you believe, unless it's Vladimir Putin's government. I'm just saying, the White House has to walk this line back.
Well, they tweeted, the president himself tweeted, Joe, that he did a great job. So maybe you ought to address that as well. I can only hope that the President of the United States was too busy playing golf.
Did not know, too busy working with the Japanese Prime Minister. David Ignatius, I want again, this is just a moment we need to stop. You had the spokesman for the White House yesterday go out on all the shows and say the power of the president will not be questioned. And then, making matters far more concerning, the President of the United States tweeted his congratulations for that performance, and staff members called all of us, working us, telling us what a great job Stephen Miller did yesterday, when he basically sounded like a little autocrat on TV.
Fortunately, federal judges do not take orders from Stephen Miller. And the judges who are reviewing this case, the district court judge who began it in Washington and this Ninth Circuit panel, are trying to construct quite narrow rulings. What they said to the White House was, you have enormous power as commander-in-chief over issues of national security, over issues of who gets across our borders, but you have to present evidence of a threat that justifies what you're trying to do. That was essentially the core of the appellate court ruling. And when Stephen Miller says this is ideological, this is about those who want borders and those who don't, that's the really outrageous part. All that the courts are saying is, under our system, you have to show why you want this.
And the most outrageous part of it, John Heilman, is the fact that this will ultimately be resolved in their favor. Right. They are going to have a majority on the Supreme Court with Judge Gorsuch. They are going to fill 125, 150 federal judgeships. They could have quietly done an executive order this morning without him saying that yesterday and gotten everything that they wanted to get.
See, I think the thing that's troubling about it is that I don't think it's just limited, although in this case, if you read the plain language that he used, he's talking about the judiciary. One generally gets a sense over the last few weeks that there is a kind of pervasive view in the White House, which is we will not be questioned. And there's they direct that toward the press, they direct that toward their political opponents, they direct that towards some within the party and towards the judiciary. The reality is that yes, you will be questioned. You'll be questioned by everybody. That's what the gig is here, right?
But they're undermining the truth. They're undermining the media.
It's the job of various institutional restraints on the president, the Congress, the courts, the press, the citizens, to question, challenge the president, and try to hem the president's authority in various ways. The president will push back, but the notion that there's just that they have a sort of an impulse towards, you will not question us. We will do what we wish, and you will sit in the corner and be quiet is not going to work.
And it's more than that.
You know, Rick, and we have warned on this show time and time again, don't trash the intel community. They will cut you into 1,000 pieces. They will. Well, Donald Trump's learning that now, and Michael Flynn's learning that now. They're not listening to common sense, and this leads nowhere. This sort of thinking leads to calamitous defeat for the Republican Party in 2018. FDR tried a court packing scheme.
Right.
And it was the only time his presidency was in trouble. Donald Trump's low point in the campaign was when he questioned Judge Curiel. You can't do that. If you want to criticize movie stars, if you want to criticize the public, if you want to criticize the press, fine, go at it. But you do this, then you start talking about our Constitution, and you start questioning the checks and balances that have protected this country from tyrants for 240 years.
And I think, Joe, what they're setting themselves up for is a presidency where you have a conflict between the Article II branch, the executive, and the Article III branch, the judiciary, like the Nixon administration. They're setting the template for that right now.
And what happened to Nixon?
Well, I think they don't, and that kind of autocratic, authoritarian language doesn't play well with the American people. No president is above the law. And they actually have some institutional prerogatives based on what Congress has given them in terms of immigration that the courts actually could ratify. But then to put their finger on the scale like this is just not a...
Early retirement, I think, is the word you're looking for.
Nixon had early retirement, and again, this is yet another fight that was so unnecessary. Again, redraft the executive order this morning, put it out, and you'd get most of everything that you wanted. And again, you're going to control the Supreme Court. You're going to control the federal courts. ideologically. He wants to talk about ideology. They're going to control it ideologically. Why? You pick a fight with the judiciary and say, we will not be questioned on something that is so temporary. It leads me to believe that they are actually looking for a fight. They are testing. They are pushing the boundaries. They are seeing what Americans will put up with and what they won't put up. And they want to see if they can, at least Stephen Miller wants to see if they can trample
I think it's more than
judicial independence.
Look, you get the sense, there's no doubt, broad groups within the media were wrong about the outcome of this election. There seems to be an enduring and residual anger on the part of those in this administration, still at the media. To say the media and the entire world.
By the way, they're sore winners.
Right. You gotta get beyond
somebody told me last night, said, you know, you hear about sore losers all the time. I've never seen a group of people that are sore winners.
They can't seem to let it go. Two, again, I come back to the point I tried to make at the end of the hour. Tillerson and Kelly should have been the faces yesterday, explaining that we may come back and redo this order. We have confidence this will work its way through the court, but the number one objective here is our borders and ensuring we don't allow people in who want to do harm to the country. And then allow Tillerson to speak to the foreign policy challenges. Allow the leadership and allow those whom many believe will be the adults in this administration to come forward. To put this guy out, then Mika's point, the larger issue here with the president remarking so positively about Stephen Miller while with Abe down there in Florida, which seemed to be a great weekend. Now you got Trudeau coming to the White House. You just step all over your message with this young fellow who has no clue.
The president
what he's
with
talking
the Japanese prime minister had, I think, a great weekend with the Japanese prime minister.
It's kind of odd that Tillerson wasn't there, but
he had a great phone call with China. He actually, as David Ignatius said, he reset our policy,
no doubt about
in Asia. After a couple of stops.
I was excited to talk about Trudeau's visit and finally talking about a platform for women and what the White House is going to do.
This is going to be the first meeting, actually, where a foreign leader is coming, and at the top of the agenda is going to be women in the workforce.
Which is really,
that's historic.
Should be helpful.
But we can't do that when you have a quote like this that David Ignatius, every Republican on Capitol Hill, starting with the Judiciary Committees in the House and the Senate, must condemn. Our opponents, the media, and the whole world will soon see. This literally sounds like a scene out of Star Wars. I swear to God,
he talked about planet Earth.
Our opponents, the media, and the whole world will soon see, as we begin to take further actions, that the power of the president to protect the country are very substantial and will not be questioned.
Around the entire planet Earth.
Will not be. David Ignatius.
Is he a Trekkie?
There is no way that Republicans can remain silent on Capitol Hill.
You would think not. I mean, when an order is delivered to planet Earth, that it's tough to contest that. But I was up on Capitol Hill several times last week, and I noted among the Republicans that I talked to concern about the tone that you've been talking about in these first 3 weeks of the administration. Republicans are watching this very carefully. They do see the dissent around the country, the demonstrations. They're self-interested. They've been wary of Trump from the beginning. What I think is going on in the White House is a battle for who's going to control. Stephen Miller may have gotten that nice tweet from the president, but he and Steve Bannon are facing a kind of, it's court of the Borgias in the White House. There's so many different factions now. And so I think we'll see how this plays out. Reince Priebus, the chief of staff, is under attack. General Flynn, the national security advisor, may be gone soon. He's under attack. It's a very unstable White House. That's another feature I frankly can't remember this early in an administration.
Incredible. You know, it's Monday morning, 7 o'clock Monday morning, and Saturday Night Live is already written. The only question is, we know who's going to play Bannon. What slight young woman is going to play Little Miller? That's the question. What female? What very slight
I don't know, but they better have a lot of sweat on their upper lip.
Now to the other.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.